And many times I reflected on that phrase, free in here, free out there, free in here, free out there. If I can't get free in detention, then I can't be free when I'm out of it. Welcome to my car. I mean, kind of an awkward situation, but I'm gonna make this work as best as I can. It is the evening of Friday, June the 27th, 2025. And I figured I would share something that I recorded way back in 2023 in November, just after being released from the detention center. Yeah, it's been a while. So, as I was listening to this recording again, it brought back so many feelings and thoughts that I had at the time, and I was listening to the things I was saying, and I just felt it'd be really good to share. I know it's been a while since then, but there were some good little nuggets that I got out, and I want to share them. And I thought I would just talk a little bit about what I shared before I share it. So I was reflecting on where I was at that time and what I was just coming out of. It looked like I was dealing with a lot of thoughts about identity and who I am. I know I was reading some good books in there. And I was grateful to have some books sent to me. Very grateful. Because there is a lot of time in a place like that to read. And if you don't have books, then there's a lot of time to think about things. So it was nice to have the books. So I was dealing with things about identity, letting things happen to me. So as I reflected, I realized I was talking about unhealthy boundaries, learning how to say no when necessary, being assertive, asking questions like, who am I, really? Learning the significance of what are called affirmations, which are really simply put statements to help rewire your brain. You could say, like, I am full of joy. I live a healthy life. I make good choices. I take care of my body, and therefore I eat healthy things. Stuff like that. It's rewiring your brain to maybe get out of the place of, I'm used to eating unhealthy things and not taking care of my body. And many times, if not most of the time, these are unconscious things that have been wired into our brain from a very young age. And so they kind of just happen unconsciously. And it leads to those situations where we do things that we don't want to do. At least afterward, when reflecting on these things, we're like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why did I eat those chips again? Why did I not go to the gym again? Why did I spend all that money again? And when we get down to it, we realize that there's some really deep stuff, and it takes a lot of inner work to uncover this stuff. I say a lot because it takes time to do the process, but it is so worth it. And I found that doing these affirmations and finding key affirmations specifically for me were huge. And as I learned later on between then and now, it's a really good exercise. This is a bonus here. to take some time, and there's different ways to do this, but let's try this way. You kind of write out your story, and maybe specifically pick an area where you have a problem or a difficulty, and then write out all your thoughts and all your beliefs and everything related to that difficulty in your life. And then see if you can distill it down to like 1 or 2 sentences or a phrase that essentially says, this is what I believe. For example, I think rich people are rude and jerks, and so I'm resisting making a lot of money in my life, because if I do that, I'm going to become another jerk and rude, and I don't want to be like that. See, those are the limiting thoughts way deep down in our subconscious or unconscious. I still get mixed up. I don't know what's better to refer to, but you get the idea. Those kind of things are way deep down in there, and they are resisting the things that are good, that you want in your life. Another one might be a deep-seated belief that I'm not worthy, I'm unhealthy, I'm not worthy of having health or a good body, or I look ugly, or I hate myself, or I hate my body. You might not actively think this way, but somewhere deep down, it could be there, and it is affecting your ability to love yourself and enjoy your body. So if you can distill it down to one phrase, like, I hate my body, what you do is you flip it around to the opposite as your new affirmation, and you repeat it every day as much as you think about it. I love my body. I love who I am. I have a healthy body. I take care of my body. I am financially free. It's okay if I make money. I can be a kind, generous person and also make a lot of money. You get the idea. So I referred to a certain affirmation that was really powerful for me when I was in detention, and it was this: free in here, free out there. And essentially, what I was affirming to myself is, when I look around me right now in this detention experience that I'm going through, I'm not physically free to do what I want to do. So perhaps this is a sort of outflow or manifestation of something on the inside of me where I am not free and I feel trapped. And being in this place is a reflection of that to help me process through what this is and to heal and to work through it. So then I came up with this saying. I'm like, if I can get free and be free within, then I will be free without. And wouldn't you know it, right around the time when I feel like I had this work through, I was released. You may say, well, that's just a coincidence. But I don't know. I very much don't believe in coincidences anymore. I still use the word for fun, but no, there is a lot of divine timing and divine intent in everything. And once you begin to have those eyes to see and ears to hear, everything just opens right up, and it's quite wonderful. If you just learn to trust and let go and surrender. And those are words I hear over and over again, and words that were big to me then, and they still are now. So yes, these are the things I reflect on in this episode. And also to add some context, I don't remember if I say this in the recording or not. When I recorded this was right after I was released, like within 24 hours. When they gave me my passport back after arriving back in Canada, in Calgary, then I went on a long walk and I enjoyed the heck out of it, and I got some good food, and I just reflected on these things that I will share. To add some context to some of these thoughts that I was having, aside from the other things I was reading in detention, like I got into the habit of reading a chapter of Proverbs every day at the start of the day, which was really encouraging and helpful. I got a hold of a book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And at that time, it really spoke to me because it helped me to understand and navigate the questions I had about identity and thoughts and feelings. And one of the core things it talks about in that book, which it is talked about other places, I'm sure, but I happened to find it in this book that was mailed to me in detention that I could read it. The key thing it talked about was how we are not our thoughts and we are not our emotions. And detaching from those things and not identifying with them is a huge part of the healing process, and also of realizing who we really are. Because I think, I know, myself included, many of us are or have been in a place where we have a negative thought and all of a sudden we think we're horrible people. That we have the negative thought or the negative feeling, and then we associate that with our identity. Where instead of just letting it be, I feel awful, we let it go to, I am awful, or, oh, I just had such a horrible thought, to, I'm such a horrible person. If you get what I'm saying. It's detaching from those things and just letting them be. Thoughts are just thoughts. Feelings are just feelings. What makes the biggest difference is what we do with those thoughts and feelings, how we respond. Even Jesus said it. It's not what goes into someone that defiles them, it's what comes out of them. Just because the negative thoughts and the negative feelings, or we won't just call them negative, we'll call them just thoughts and feelings. Just because they come in doesn't make us all of a sudden bad people. No. What makes the difference is what ends up coming out of us. And what comes out of us is a factor of what we allow to get into our hearts and grow there, which means we're thinking about them a lot. And part of what I share too is about how good it was to be back in Manitoba. And that's something I'm going to reflect on right now because my laptop is dead, so I can't read my notes anymore. Okay, that was November of 2023, and it is now June of 2025. So a whole year and 7 months, give or take, have passed since this event in my life. And since coming back from detention and being back in Canada in November of 2023, somewhere around, I think, February or March of 2024, I went on another trip to Western Canada until about June. And then I came back to Manitoba. And after that return, which again is kind of funny because it's like I kept being brought back to Manitoba. It's like something deep inside of me and of course God working in me is like, no, you're going back to Manitoba. You're going back to Manitoba. You need to go back to Manitoba because I have something for you there and you can't keep running away from it. You need to do the work. You need to go through this process that I have for you. And it can't happen anywhere else. And I know you want to change and you want to heal and move past this stuff that's all happened in your life. But in order to do that, you need to be in Manitoba. I know there's places that you'd probably rather be. Places that are more beautiful during the winter time. Places that maybe feel more free. But you need to be here for this time. And you know what? I'm grateful for this time that I've been here. You can probably tell that I'm getting current. I'm getting real right now, because I'm really feeling this this thing that I'm talking about right now. It was so important to come back here because it allowed me to be around my family. It allowed me to be around close friends. It allowed certain reflections to be reflected back to me, to help me see where I was at, to help me see how I was growing along the way. Being around people who have known me for a long time, people who love me, who care about my growth and my healing, who want to see me move past the personal hell that I had come through and that I was still in when I came back. It was essential that I came back. And I knew that maybe somewhere down the road, once all this process had been worked through, then I would have the green light, if you will, to move around and not need to come back here to work through this stuff. But what I found is this. I don't mind being here. And I don't know, maybe I was just running away from something. Running away from facing something in my life that needed to be worked on. Likely as not, that's what it was. But after having worked through all this stuff, I feel this freedom. I feel this freedom where I'm content to be here and I'm content to travel. And so I'm grateful, and I see now the importance of why I'm here, why I needed to come here. In so many ways, it has helped me remember who I am. To peel away the layers of who I am not. And what better place to do that? And so I'm grateful having come back here, because one of the things I can see is this. And I'm thinking about cycles, because I like to think about cycles. the way Ray was before, certain things kept repeating and happening over and over again in his life. Because Ray was the Ray that Ray was. So it was only natural that certain situations and outcomes kept repeating over and over again. Now, having done this work and having healed from things, it is interesting to see on the next iterations, the next cycles, how things are now different, how outcomes are different, how even approaching the same things as before, now with that awareness, I can see how things can be different now based on having a different response than I would have had before. And that's exciting. Because as I also like to think about a lot, it shifts one from being a victim to being, I'm still thinking of a word for this, to being the warrior, to being the chooser, the empowered one. I don't know, but from, all these things keep happening to me, to, how might this be happening for me? How can I respond differently in this situation than I did before? I can see how I responded before led to this sort of outcome. Perhaps I can respond differently this time. And things like that. Things like this are certainly the outcome of everything I experienced in my life, and certainly in the last 5 years. So as you listen to this recording for November, I pray it inspires. I pray that whatever random things I say, somewhere in there is something that helps you, that encourages you, or that reminds you of something, or maybe you just enjoy hearing the story. Either way, I hope you enjoy, and I pray it inspires. And I thank you again so much for listening. And till next time, live inspired. It is, Wednesday, November the 29th, 2023, 4:20 p.m. approximately. And this is where it's at. Oh my gosh, I am free. Wow. I forgot what that felt like. To just walk wherever I want to walk. For the last 2 months, I have been in detention, a detention center. And I have been cooped up in a hall full of 86 guys in the same space, sleeping, doing everything during the day, all in the same room. And the only reason we mostly leave the room is to eat our meals. And I've been in that space, and I have not been able to get outside like this and walk on the actual ground, not like turf ground, but real ground, to touch grass. Oh my gosh. And to see the sunset. I haven't seen the sunset for 2 months. You know what that does to a person? It sucks. But wow. The things that I've learned and experienced and worked through while being there is quite something else and quite good. I just got off the phone with my good friend Justin. And during our conversation, we talked about all of the things I'll just leave it at that. All of the things. Literally, the stuff I've been working through in detention, the stuff in my life that I've been working through, some tools to work on those things and to help be aware of those things. Talked about all of that, and that's exactly what I've been working on to some degree for the past year and a half, but it's like all the time for the past 2 months. And what did we talk about? Well, first, he was just glad to know that I was okay and that I'm out, and super excited about that. And then we got to talking about different things, like what I'm doing with my life, to put it bluntly, or what I have been doing, what kind of led to me going to detention, what caused me to go in there. I talked about how that was really a special time for me, is how I see it, to work through a lot of stuff. And it was a special place in its own way, safe enough, secure enough that I could spend the bulk of my time working through stuff for 2 months, and not just to-do list items, like my life kind of stuff, because that really is the core of it all. The life stuff that was the aftermath was, so the life stuff was just the aftermath of the deep core stuff that was in my life. The belief systems, the unconscious ways of being, which all really tie back to a life that was largely ruled by the self, by the ego. And it sucks to admit that, to become aware of that. Well, it doesn't suck to become aware of that. It sucks to admit that. But it's a good kind of sucks, because then once you're aware of that, and you know that, then things can change. And to me, that is the greatest encouragement right now. Not focusing on the micro things, but focusing on the macro things. The micro things being, I forgot something, said something that wasn't good, I got angry, and then maybe I shouldn't have done something that I did. Those are the micro things. The macro things are the things that cause that behavior. That behavior is the outflow from. And the macro things, which my friend was glad to know that I had been working through, are things like self-image. How do I see myself? Who do I think I am? Things like being a leader, showing initiative, being assertive, being the first to do this or that, the first to apologize, the first to pray, the first to suggest something or an idea. The showing initiative part. And then being a leader and owning up to that by taking responsibility. And so we talked about that, and then we talked about, well, how can these core things be addressed? If now there's this awareness that there's a problem, an unconscious belief system that exists that is leading to these behaviors persisting, how can this be addressed? And then one thing we talked about was confessions, or as I now refer to them, affirmations. You are affirming the things that are true in your life because they just are. Like, who are you? When you say the words, I am, what are you describing yourself as? Am I an angry person? Am I confused? Am I scared? Am I always have a problem with this and I that, and I'm better, and I know better than that person, and I this, and so that is the self-talking, that is the ego talking. The ego identifies. The ego is the embodiment of identification with your thoughts and your emotions. It's like a person. And a person that is created from those thoughts and emotions to be like, well, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. But then when you realize that who you actually are, and I don't mean just agreeing with the concept, I mean actually realizing this for real, then your awareness just thanks you, first of all, because that awareness is you. And you're like, okay, so I am that which is aware of my thoughts and my emotions. That's who I am. Who is that person, or entity is more correct? Well, that person, that entity is strong, bold, courageous, is at peace, is confident, knows things, is not confused. That I am is a leader by default. That is the default nature. And the lie is thinking that you're not that, or that you need to become that. You already are that. You already are a leader. You already are amazing and wonderful. You already are beautiful. You already are strong and brave and courageous and worthy and competent and all those things. That is your true nature of who you really are. And every waking day, I say that because during the night, we are likely more in touch with who we really are than when we are during the day. During the day, the constant battle, as it says in the Bible many times, and likely in other places, is a dying to the old, dying to the self, putting off what it calls the flesh, which we can just refer to as the thing that we think of ourselves as being this body, which is not who we are. I think a lot of us know that we are not our bodies. Okay, great. Well, then what are we? I think that's the thing that people have less of a grasp on. And that is the most important thing. It's important to know who we are not. And we could also say that that is the first step to finding out who we really are. And then, of utmost importance, once you realize who you are not, is realizing who you actually are. And that will change your life. And that is going to change my life. And that is going to bring about a whole new experience for me in this life, where I'm not passive, where I don't just let things happen to me. I mean, and my dad brought this up yesterday, which is a very good point, of me just allowing things to happen to me. And there is a fine line there that I had some distinction with him of, well, making sure he was aware that I've learned to be accepting of myself, to be content and to be okay and to be at peace no matter what situation I may find that I'm in. And that's great, and that's awesome, and that is very important. But then there is the other side. That needs to not be an enabling factor and just allowing whatever happens to me to happen. And that one of the big things that will play into exercising that part of my life is my ability to say, no. No, I don't want to do that. No, I think this is how we should do things. No this, no that. And I guess it would be complimenting the ability that I seem to have, well, that I do have, because that is just how it is, of knowing things with a K, N-O-W, and complementing that with a newfound ability to know things, and know things. So that was just my little play on that whole situation, that I know things and I know things. It's good. It's good that I came back here. You know why? That conversation with Justin may not have happened in the way that it did. The conversations that I'm going to have with my dad will likely not have happened the way that they're going to happen. And all of this to help me come to a place, and I see this, of course, as God assisting me to come to a place where I lead. Where I lead from a place of strength, because that is who I am. I am strong, and I lead with that place of strength. And perhaps that is where the part of me that is secure and stable and accepting and trusting on the inside is going to power that leadership. Because if it's good in here, it will be good out there. And the good in me will flow as goodness toward others. And many times I reflected on that phrase, free in here, free out there, free in here, free out there. If I can't get free in detention, then I can't be free when I'm out of it. That was very important to me. If there was any place to realize freedom, it wasn't yesterday when I was let out of the facility and was able to have smoothies and sandwiches and enjoy my time in the airport, walking around. It was in the facility when I learned how to be free in there. That is where the change happened. And then it was manifested in the external. That's how I see it. And this leadership, initiative, quality that I am, when I have that deep on the inside of me, it is going to come out. That is the nature of how this works. So in order for me to be a leader out there, to show initiative out there, to be assertive out there, it needs to start from the inside out. And how I can develop that from the inside is through affirmations every day, knowing, meditating, being in that place every day where on the inside I affirm and reaffirm that this is who I am. And then it will naturally flow outward into my life. And that is the hope that I have. And so it is.